Hey everybody, it's Eddie J on Crypto for GrowMyBag.tv. Hope you're having a good one. What's good? What's good? What's good? So we've got a lot going on. A lot going on. We're kind of amber, in my humble opinion. I mean, Bitcoin is currently at 103. So yeah, we're still amber. We're kind of bouncing around like that. So it is what it is. But in the news today, we've got the Bank of England saying that they are going to hold stablecoin regulations in lockstep with the United States. Is that because their economy is similar to the United States, meaning the condition of their economy? Highly possible. Then you have Bitwise CIO Matt Hogan urging digital asset treasuries to adopt a hard strategy beyond passive Bitcoin holding, citing MicroStrategies or strategy, debt-driven scaling, and the 207 companies holding over 1 million BTC, arguing that ETFs offer simpler alternatives and innovative tactics like DeFi could reward executors. Possibly. What they're saying is, or what he's suggesting is, don't just hold Bitcoin, but make it a real business. Make it a real practice. That's what strategy does. They've made it into a real practice. They even said what he's saying is you can even turn this into a money-making venture by getting involved in DeFi, and you can make some money off of, make interest off of that. Which, of course, I just find to be all interesting, right? I'm just that kind of guy. Seriously, guys. Again, a lot of these treasury companies used to do other things for a living. So my question is, were you a failure? And I'm beginning to think that things for a living. So my question is, were you a failure? And I'm beginning to think that, yeah, you're a freaking failure. That's why you have this problem. To me, that's honestly why you have the problem, is that you were a failure in your previous business. Why would you leave it? If you were making money, why would you leave it? Why didn't you continue down that road? MicroStrategy is, right? Yeah, they're all into Bitcoin and holding Bitcoin and buying Bitcoin, going into debt for Bitcoin and Bitcoin become Bitcoin. Totally get it. They still do the business. A lot of these other companies are literally some of them without even talking to their shareholders, just moving the business to become a strategy company. Yeah, I have no interest in that. None. MicroStrategy doing their thing. Yeah, there is a plan. You don't have a plan? Why are you doing it? Is this the only way that you think you can make money? Because if that's the way you think you can make money is by holding Bitcoin, why do I need to hold your stock for me to have exposure to Bitcoin? I can do that on my own. So I'm having issues with the whole idea. MicroStrategy makes it kind of easier because yes, they're playing that whole treasury game, but yes, they're also building stuff. They still do software development. Right? So there are reasons why I pay attention to these things, and that's one of them. Tangem or Tangem, however they pronounce that name. Sometimes I think of companies and I think that how you name your company, if you make it hard for me to pronounce and I constantly mispronounce your name, NVIDIA is famous for that. You're stupid. You're stupid. That's honestly the way I say it. So Tangem Pay, a Visa card allowing USDC spending via hardware wallets, starting November 25 in 42 countries, European Union expansion, planned for 2026, partnering with Paera and Rain to balance self-custody security against, with the Genius Act. That's nice. You want to know something I found more important? Circle is now changing its terms of use and making it so that in the United States, you can purchase legal guns. Yeah. I should be able to use it to buy whatever I want that's legal. And I guess guns were a line for them, and they were like, yeah, They had a ban on it for a while. And I guess under pressure, they had to change it. And I'm kind of like, ouch. Because on one hand, I understand where they're coming from, and on the other hand, I understand the other side. I should be able to use my funds, my value for whatever it is I want to use my value for, so long as it's legal. And if you're legally purchasing a gun, I should be able to use my value for that. But I do understand their point. In this country, I do understand their point. Really do. Hong Kong is launching its first tokenized money market fund, Franklin Templeton's on-chain U.S. government money fund, under HKMA's FinTech 2030 strategy, backed by U.S. Treasuries and developed by HSBC and OSL Group. State Street reporting, 60% of institutions plan to double digital asset investments by next year. Wow. I don't understand why that was so hard for me to get through. That was painful. And embarrassing. But that says that Franklin Templeton is making moves. Remember, they have that Benji token. They're in bed with Chainlink. Like, they're doing a lot. And they seem, I don't know why, but they seem to be focusing in on Hong Kong as if it was a port of entry into Asia. So that deal right there, very interesting to me. Very interesting. Excuse me. Again, we live on a small blue marble, a small one. It's not a big blue marble anymore. When you can have value traveling and, at light speed, faster than light speed, when you have all these things that can happen in seconds, when I can video conference somebody, in Singapore from right here in seconds. Yeah, we live in a different world, and it's tiny. It's tiny. Just mega deals happening, in the fashion that they happen. Yeah, no, we should be paying attention to all of these things as, that's an opportunity. Exactly. These are all opportunities. Looking at Japan's SBI Digital Markets partnering with Chainlink as an exclusive infrastructure provider for its cross-chain interoperability protocol and automated compliance engine. SBI is doing what? Aha. Another one that I'm paying attention to, and yet another deal for Chainlink. When I tell you guys that Chainlink is a part of the connective tissue, this is what I'm talking about. SBI partnering with Chainlink and going to leverage exclusively Chainlink's technology. Why would you think that Chainlink is not a part of the connective tissue? Web3 depends on Chainlink. There are other oracles. Web3 depends on Chainlink. So I sprinkle, baby. I sprinkle into Chainlink. Even though, what is Chainlink at right now? Chainlink is at $14.92. My last purchase was at $15. So I'm still down. Because I didn't have time yesterday to buy it when it was at almost $14. I'm so mad at myself. But I've purchased at lower before, so I'm looking at this and I'm just saying, yeah, I'm going to keep sprinkling in, because when the market picks up, Chainlink is going to make me some really good coin. So I'm just happy about that. I'm just going to let that rock. As my kids say. What else do we have? U.S. spot Bitcoin ETFs faced an over $2 billion weekly outflow. Ethereum ETFs saw significant withdrawals. Solana ETFs recorded consecutive inflows despite Bitcoin's $102,000 price and volatility from regulatory uncertainty and Supreme Court's IEEPA case. There's a lot going on that's affecting a lot of stuff. But Solana saw inflows, Bitcoin and Ethereum saw outflows. These are facts. I'm still not a big Solana fan. I just don't trust Solana's management. Every time, to me, every time they've had it, and in the face of, adversity, or in the face of challenges, to me, every single time that they've been faced with, hard knock decisions, they have found a way to make the wrong decision. So I just don't trust their management. I think Solana is successful in spite of itself. Just saying. I know people are looking at me and going, what? Like, no, I'm serious. I still don't, even if their network was reliable, do you really think we got adequate reasoning behind their network issues from last year? Huh. One of their excuses was, oh, there was such high volume. But you say you can do everything so quickly, so you should have never been maxed out. See what I mean? So yeah, I just don't, for some reason, I just don't trust their management. From a money-making perspective, I can see how I can make money. But I'm not holding, I'm not holding, if I ever do anything with Solana, I'm not holding it for a long time. I've got a plan of action, meaning I know that it's going to make me money. If I buy at this price, I can get out at that price, and I've made money. That's all I care about right now. That's if I was to do something with Solana. Right now, I think there are other places where I can put my money, where I can make more money. Just saying. Just saying. What else have we got going on? We've got, let's see. Oh, this is a big move. So looking at my notes, in a direct response to Morgan Stanley's purchase of EquityZen. EquityZen is a private share marketplace, meaning companies that are either not going IPO or haven't gone IPO yet, they can go to these marketplaces and sell stock. That's different. So, okay, fine. Guess what? And I'm just wondering, like, does that eventually fall under the SEC as publicly traded stock? Or are they seen as private transactions? They must be doing something right. Well, Morgan Stanley bought EquityZen, and Charles Schwab, in direct response, is looking to purchase Forge Global. And it looks like the number is going to be for about $600 million. That's a 75% premium. That's 75% premium just because your competitor did it. Okay. So if I look at companies that have a whole bunch of FAs, financial advisors, one of the reasons back in the day you went to a financial advisor is because they had connections to these types of things, right? You're not going to get in on this. You're not going to know about that company over there getting ready to go IPO and they're slated to go really high. You're not going to get in on those things. Okay. So you get yourself a financial advisor that might be connected that can get you involved in IPOs. Got it. And I'm kind of like, okay. But then you turn around and you're like, you mean you didn't have those connections before? And again, I just go back to, what do banks bring to the table now? As of today, what do banks do that justify all the fees that they charge you? What do they bring to the table? What? I think that everything a bank does, you can find within the crypto space, or you can find an alternative means. What do banks do? What do banks bring to the table? Riddle me this. You know what I mean? I know I'm being funny and I'm being a little flippant, but I really do wonder, what do banks bring to the table? I can pay my bills with banks. Okay. Does that justify making it so that I must have a minimum balance in order to have free checking or whatever? Whether I have $100 or $100,000, you're still making money off my money. And if it costs you that much money to maintain your systems, upgrade your systems. So I'm just wondering, like, what do they bring to the table that you can't find other, elsewise? ETFs, mutual funds are taking a dive. Why? ETFs, crypto. There are a lot of reasons why mutual funds are taking it on the chin. A lot of reasons. A lot of reasons. But you know what we should do? That's right. We should actually go take a look at the numbers. Let me get my notes out of the way. And let's start over here. Let's see. Dow futures implied open up negative 25. S&P up 3.25. That means it's unchanged. NASDAQ futures 13.25. Again, basically unchanged. Oil up 0.38. US 10-year down 0.021. Interesting. Earnings today, we're going to get ConocoPhillips, Energy. Who else do I care about? Airbnb. I'm dying to find out what's going on with Airbnb. Monster Beverage. Anybody else I care about? Warner Brothers Discovery. Becton Dickinson. Used to be a client, so I'm interested in what they're doing, how they're doing. Block Inc., XYZ. I'm definitely interested to see how that's going on. Con Edison, Consolidated Edison, energy company. I'm going to be paying attention to that. All the energy companies I want to be paying attention to. All of them. All of them. Yeah, we're not getting any numbers. I know I shouldn't even have the page up anymore, but it's a part of a group. One day we'll be able to use that page again. We get all the government numbers and when they're going to come out and all that good stuff. One day we'll be able to use it again. Not today. Fear and Greed Index. We're in fear now. We've moved out of extreme fear to 27. We'll see. I don't know if I agree with that. But whatever. 132,406. That's $1 billion locked, total value locked. We're under that 150 mark. I'm not going to be pleased until we're back above 150. Oh, excuse me. Let's see where we are now. So we dipped into my lower band over here a little bit, a couple of times, as you can see. That band went from 93,434 to 99,655, and we were there. We were there just yesterday. Now we're moving back up into another space. Okay, that's good. But we still need to be between 109 and 123. That's where we need to be. That's where we need to be in striking distance, right? When the government comes back to work, I believe that there are catalysts right now that are going to force the government to come back to work. When that happens, boost to the system. The way that the Supreme Court yesterday was listening to the tariff case, that was a little pump to the system. We're going to have a whole bunch of ETFs come out. That will be a pump to the system. So I think we've got a lot of catalysts coming that'll be good. The only thing that I'm still paying attention to that seemingly nobody else is paying attention to is what's going on in the Caribbean. Because that could affect our bags. Can absolutely affect our bags. Just saying. What do you have over here? Coin 360. Looking at the big board, yeah, you have things that are green, but they're still drastically down. Ethereum being below 4,000, yeah, I'm all about buying some of that. Doge, Link, I don't have to go through the whole list right now, but you can see where you still have great opportunities to get in here. Same thing over here. I'm just seeing opportunities. That's all I'm seeing are opportunities. Wow. You see this? Oh, excuse me. That's year to date. Ethereum being only at 2%. It seems that when you're looking at the percentage year to date in terms of, how much money you've made, Bitcoin drops and rises at a slower pace than altcoins, mainly Ethereum. So I do pay attention to that. I'm paying attention to XRP, BNB, still doing well, still giving great returns for over the year. So I'm not really mad about that. But look at everybody else in between. Not so much. Not so much. Hyperliquid still giving good return for year to date. Just saying. I'm still looking for another chance to play Aster. Excuse me. I'm still looking for another chance to play Aster at $1.08. I'm hoping it goes back down to $1. Then I'd get back in and do it again. We'll see. Because certain things I want to be in on because I believe that there's going to be another pump. I believe that I want to get in, right? I want to get in when that dip happens. And then while everything's starting to come back, we get, the government popped in. The government's back to work. You see how that, I want to get in on that level of momentum. That's what I'm looking for. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, everybody, this is Eddie J on crypto for growmybag.tv. Hope you like what I'm doing. If you do me a favor, smash the likes, tell your friends about us, and absolutely become a member. This Sunday, the big baggers, that's the top tier membership for Grow My Bag. We're having our private video conference call Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we're going to talk about everything, including things that happened this week that we've discussed out in the open and private conversations that happen only on that video conference call. So if you want to get in on that, become a big bagger. Again, it happens Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Everybody, thank you for your time. Thank you for your patience. And as always, thank you for your trust. I'll see you tonight on the Crypto Overflow at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Have a good one. Bye-bye.